morning. Hello, hello, hello. Let's see. Good morning, Donna. Nice to have you here. And let me see who else is here. Carol, good morning. Yoga time. Shannon, good morning. Sharon, good morning. Good morning. Just amazing. Such diehards. Yeah, it's so lovely that we get to practice together, and that I am so grateful for. So I think that all of you, happy birthday, Steve. Today is Steve's birthday. Hi, Joyce. How are you? You know, I was just thinking, ladies, yesterday, when or we'll ever be back together in person, and I'm not trying to be there. So that thought process, let me see. It's unstable. Reconnecting. Okay, it's hi, Sharon. You have to be number 2. So I was just thinking about, I don't know, this thought crossed my mind yesterday about what life looks like in the future. And I think many of you know that I always say that I don't live in the future. I don't think about the what ifs, because that's actually anxiety. And so many people struggle with anxiety. Anxiety is when we're worried about the future. And I found in my own life that often, so anyway, but I'm thinking is like, wow, what is this going to be like? Are we going to be back in person? I'm visualizing the room and all the people, what it's like to walk into a class and that group, this energy of being together. There's just something that, and of course, one day in the future, we will be together, right? So we will be together. In the meantime, it's lovely to have this together. So this is the first class of 2021 for me on Thursdays on YouTube Live. And I did teach a class on Tuesday. I taught a few yesterday also, but my osteoporosis classes began again this week. And I have my own practice, not necessarily an hour-long on a mat practice. My day, I am constantly doing something for my body, for my mind, constantly. I do it all day. So on Tuesday when I taught, that was my first time I did a structured class for an hour and a half, and my hip was sore. Not my hip that I had replaced, my other hip. And so it was really interesting to me that what I'd like to convey to you here, whether you're watching this live or you watch it recorded, is this. We need to become our own inner teacher. We have to listen to the voice inside on what is appropriate to do. Because especially, I want to say, as we get older, or if we have issues in our body, there's this alertness that comes into us on what is safe, what is not safe, should I or shouldn't I? And we don't always know where that line is that we cross. So especially for those with issues or injuries where you're trying to be protective, sometimes if you feel any discomfort, even if it is the discomfort of the appropriate amount of stress that's going to create bone or muscle thinning, even that sometimes gets scary because it's stimulation. So learning how to identify what's safe movements, what are unsafe movements, where is your line? Where do you need to say, you know what, today's not a 30-second hold day for me. Today's a 20-second day hold. Or today I feel really strong and I could do 40-second plank, or I could do a minute plank. You need to develop that within yourself and also realize or become a really great detector of what is appropriate sensation inside your body. Because what we are doing when we practice, especially this bone health aspect, where we're trying to create stress, where we are actually trying to stress our bones appropriately so that it's too much for them to deal with this moment, but just enough that they have to get stronger for us and not go into a place of pain. So it really is a stress. We're putting stress on the bones. So you have to determine what is the appropriate stress for you, whether it's the bones or the muscles or whatever. So hopefully I articulated that in a nice way for you to realize, because although I did have a sensation on Tuesday in my hip, I thought, was that too much? But then of course, sensation went away by the end of the night and I feel nothing now from it. So it wasn't that I hurt myself. It's just that I realized like, wow, I really worked strongly in that area. So anyway, Krista, good morning. And then Frida, good morning. So hopefully that was my little setup for you all to realize that you are your inner teacher, that you're going to listen to your own body when you do this practice, and finding the appropriate pressure and stress for you to get stronger in your bones and your muscles. That is Goldilocks. You're looking for Goldilocks. You don't want it to be too soft because it won't do as much stimulation as you need, and you don't want it to be too hard. So you're looking for the Goldilocks position in whatever pressures you create in your body. All right, so this is our Goldilocks practice today of just right for my bones and my body and my muscles to get strong. Okay, so come into a seated position. I'm going to focus on this quite a bit. For those of you that can, sit like this. Bend your knees, bend your hips, open up your feet. For those of you that can't, if you are close to this, you could towards it. You could support yourself with something either in between tushy and heels, something a little closer to the knee joints is more supportive for that knee flexion if you need that. 3 pillows, 2 pillows, or a few blocks. Maybe 1 block can go here. If you have 2, it could be 2 blocks. So as long as this right here, you minimize this for those that need to. And for those that have this range of motion, keep it because it's important to keep this. Have a block handy for today or something that is similar to a block, and have a strap handy today for our practice. Okay, and then bring yourself into a seated position. It could be asana hero's pose, or it could be in a gently seated position. Closing your eyes, let's begin to go inward, bringing ourselves to this present moment. Yoga is a union of the body, the mind, and every aspect of this present moment in this present moment. So let's bring ourselves here, and when we close the eyes, we take away the sensory input of sight, which is a huge stimulator to the brain. Bring yourself here, and when the eyes are closed, I want you to go into your body to a place of sensing and feeling and noticing. And noticing here if there are issues or anything comes up for you, just notice whatever it is without judgment. Noticing that. Take your hands, rub your hands along your legs. Take one arm, rub one arm on the other arm. Maybe a little gentle squeeze along the arm, squeezing the wrist, the forearm, the elbow, the upper arm. Give your shoulder a nice round circle motion of movement, bringing blood flow here, and especially if you have issues in your shoulder area, a little extra. Take the opposite hand over to the wrist, to the forearm, to the elbow, to the upper arm, and to the shoulder, rolling your hand around in a circular fashion here in this joint. We do circular patterns on the joints here, and then take your hands on your throat. I'd like you to touch the front of your throat and the side of your throat, feeling that cervical spine. Then bring your awareness and your hands to the back of your throat, your fingers, a massage on the upper neck muscles. And then take your thumbs, the eyes are closed, I want you to be in a place of feeling. Take your thumbs and rub your thumbs up and down where that back bump is, the back part of your skull. So from the skull to the neck. So starting behind the ears, skull down to the neck, skull to the neck, skull to the neck. Thumbs are pressing in pretty strongly here. This is a tendinous part of the muscles that attach the neck onto the skull. They do so much work for us all day long. And then bring your hands behind your head, clasping your hands behind your head. Elbows are out to the side. Open your heart up towards the sky. Elbows are out to the side. This is a chest expansion and an extension position. Open your throat, open your neck. Your hands are cradling your head. Elbows are out to the side. Feel a stretch on your tissues wherever that is. Take a breath here. Inhale, mouth is closed. Keep your mouth closed as you exhale. One more breath. And then exhale. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Your eyes are closed. Allow your thumbs to touch your body and then gently bring your face down towards your hands. Feel your right palm, feel your left palm. Right palm, left palm. Press your thumbs into each other, your pointer fingers, your middle fingers, your ring fingers, and your pinkies. And then gently take a big inhale. Keep the mouth closed. Exhale through the nose slowly, really, really slow. Then go ahead and open your eyes. So a lot done there, trying to release a little tension here. The hands behind the head. This here is a great break to take throughout your day as often as you can, creating space between the ribs and the pelvis and opening up the chest, putting yourself in a nice aligned position. Shoulder blades go onto the back to help support you. Try to find this in your body throughout the day, every day, as a little yoga snack or yoga vitamin that you can add to your life. Okay, we're going to go down onto the floor to ground our energy into our body. I'd like the body to be on the floor so that the back is on the floor, shoulder blades are towards the spine, so that we get a nice feeling of that alignment in our spine. So with bone health in mind, we're going to bring ourselves to the side and not round that upper spine as we reach our hands away and bring ourselves down onto the floor. Have the blanket underneath your head, not your neck. So let the neck be free, and you could bring your hands underneath your head to reach the head up and back so that there's length in your head when you do this. Then take your arms in the floor. Press your upper arm bones into the floor to lift your rib cage away from the floor and slide the shoulder blades to each other. So you could even let the hands go out towards the floor when you do this. That'll help to position that shoulder, to allow the shoulders to move towards the spine. Then I'd like you to bring one leg in the air and then the other, and one arm in the air and the other, but don't lift your arms away from you because your shoulder blades are on the ground. I want you to shake the limbs, let the shoulders settle in the joints, let the hip joint settle, and then put one foot on the floor and the other foot on the floor. Your hands down alongside your body, and then notice what you notice. So I just felt some movement of my skeleton in my body because I've got some stuff that I'm noticing in my body. Notice if you feel or notice movements happening. We're trying to put ourselves in this nice alignment position. Arms are over to the side, and then you determine here according to what your range of motion is in your body. We're all different. Arms can be raised up, keeping the hands on the floor, backs of the hands, backs of the arms. Tucking the chin down towards the chest, lengthen the back of the neck. I'd like you to put yourself in your upper body somewhere where you actually feel a sensation of stretching, either where the arms attach to the body or in the front upper chest region. And maybe for some of you, deep in the spine. And then you're going to take one leg and unbend it and slowly straighten it. Maybe some of you lifting it up too much, so sliding the heel on the floor is another option. A little more work for the core if you lift the leg up and lengthen it, using hip flexor muscles and core muscles to get that action to happen. And for some of you, that might be an area of weakness. Then I'd like you to walk your legs away from you so you have space in your body, so that you actually here now maybe feel a stretch in the lower abdominal area, maybe. And then let's take the legs a little wider and allow the legs to rest, the feet flop towards the sides. So we're using gravity from above. We're using the floor to try to align our skeleton, and will help the joints find a proper alignment position as well, which is what we're trying to focus on here. That's where that receptivity is of balance in the body. Proprioceptive nervous system tries to determine if there's an alignment in the joint capsules. And then there's a whole slew of processes that happen inside the body in response to that signaling from the nervous system.
Keeping the mouth closed, rest the tongue where the teeth and the roof of the mouth meets. Allow the jaw to soften. Allow the facial muscles to soften. Allow the eyeballs to deeply sit in the eye sockets. Feel the pressure in the back of the center of the head. Feel the pressure on the back of the right hand. Let the right hand go. Feel the right hand, the right elbow, and the right shoulder blade. Let the entire right arm be heavy towards the floor. Bring your awareness over to the left back of the hand, the left back of the upper arm and lower arm, and the left shoulder blade. Feel those points of connection and allow the arm to relax. So let go of any holding that you're able to have a control over. Bring your awareness to the center of your pelvis, your sacrum, the base of your spine. Feel the pressure in the base of the spine. Bring your awareness down to your right heel, your right calf, and any part of the right leg that's touching the floor. Notice the part of your leg that touches. Notice the part of the leg that doesn't touch. Allow the leg to soften and release. Bring your awareness to the left heel, the left lower leg, the upper leg, wherever you feel that connection of you to the earth. And allow the leg to release. Feel the heaviness in your body as you yield your body weight to the floor. Bringing your awareness to your nose, begin to follow the breath in the nostrils. I'd like to do a little counting breath here to equalize and balance out the breath. I'll do a 4-count breath, 4 on the inhale and 4 on the exhale to begin. So let's prepare. Take a big exhale. And then inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Continue, breathe like that, counting in your own mind. See if you could feel your heartbeat. I'm going to add a retention, a hold on the inhale and a hold on the exhale. So I'll count 4 on the inhale, 4 to hold, 4 on the exhale, and 4 to hold. Let's prepare. Exhale. Let's begin. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Continue on your own. 4, 4, 4, 4. Finishing up the breath that you're on. And then take one more complete round. When you finish the last round, give the breath back to the body. Bring your awareness to your fingers and your toes as you bring movement into your body. Reaching your arms overhead and reaching your legs nice and long. Reach and stretch, stretch, stretch your body glove. Then take one knee at a time. Bend, go slowly. If the eyes are closed, you could be in your body. This will help to develop that inner body awareness. So you could develop what is the Goldilocks position for you in everything that you do, becoming aware of where your issues are and how you need to tread lightly around certain things. So it helps to refine where you need to be careful and how careful you need to be. Let's roll onto our right side. And then using your right hand, cradle the head with the right hand. Take the hand on the floor in front of you. Press the hand into the floor and bring yourself up to a seated position. Bring the blanket onto the mat. Take your hands on the floor and let's crawl around. You could either crawl forward and backwards. This is going to help to deeply set the joints in the body. It's nice to have the force of gravity from different angles on your body. And in my training in India with my teacher, what he has taught us recently is that there's a reason why babies go through this process of movement development. They begin on their bellies, they come up onto all fours, and then they begin to walk because they're patterning proper function in the body. So for us, this is a way to actually pattern functional movements. Now, for those whose wrists don't like this, I'd like us all actually to try this. Let's come up into what's a pentapod, so 5 fingers. And you can walk straight and back and forth, or you could actually go around in a circular movement. Let's walk on the fingertips. This is going to help to strengthen our fingertips, and it also minimizes that flexion in the wrist joint. So for some of you, this may feel better. And then if you are able to go around in circle movements or make a figure 8, there's something about this having to turn around movement inside the hip joint and what it does to the muscles that move the hip joint. And then let's bring ourselves back to center. And you may notice now that there's some tension in your fingers, right? So that tension that we're feeling, there was a stress of a greater demand of muscular activity in our hand to weight bear our weight on them, because we never do. And that's going to help the muscles of the hands get a little stronger. And I don't know about you guys, but I know for myself, opening jars is getting more challenging. Crazy in my early 50s, almost mid 50s, but it is what it is. So I'm going to embrace that. Take your fingers and articulate the joints of your fingers. Motion is lotion. So keep this lotion secreting in your joints. Take
one hand and flex the wrist to make sure your arm is straight. And then push that hand towards you. Make sure you're on the whole hand and not just on the fingers. So you feel that stretch on the upper part of that lower hand. And then take your hands like this, like a stop sign. No, stop, don't. And bring the hand towards you. My arm is straight. So there's a lot of stretch happening here now underneath and on that wrist joint. Let's do the same thing on the other arm. Bringing the arm towards you. This is a great thing to do throughout your day because our tissue gets tight. And when there's tightness, there's a lack of flow. So whether that's flow of the nerves, flow of the lymphatic fluids, flow of the blood, flow of the oxygen that needs to get to the cells to make energy for you, whatever it is. So to keep your flow going, shake your wrists. Okay, we're going to do spinal balance. This is a great way to strengthen the postural muscles of the upper back and low back. So for those of you that your wrists don't like being loaded on, it'd be good for you to build up to that, by the way. It's another thing I'd like you to work on maintaining and not just shy away from because there's discomfort. Finding your Goldilocks wrist flexion and maintaining that. You could roll up your mat if you needed, or you could fully weight bear. And then your pointer fingers are pointing forward. Have your knees directly underneath your pelvis and have your hands directly underneath your shoulders. Then I'd like you to slide your right foot back, slide your left hand forward, press your right fingertips into the floor. Inhale to lift the left hand and the right leg. Exhale to tap them back down to the floor. Don't bend the knee, don't bend the elbow. Inhale to rise. Exhale to tap down. One more time, inhale to rise, exhale to tap down. And on this next one, I want you to inhale and stay here. Reach your left hand away, keep it close to your ear level if you can. Reach the fingertips long, thumbs up towards the sky. Reach the toes away from you, nice and long. The sole of the right foot is pointing up towards the sky. Now, if you'd like a little more challenge, lift your left foot off the floor. You need to contract your core and hug your lumbar spine with your belly. If you'd like a little more, you can take your left hand out to the left, palm down. And then if you'd like even more, take the right foot out to the right. Challenge yourself by moving into different planes and areas of motion so your nervous system needs to really figure out where the heck you are. And then bring yourself back to the center. Take your left hand on the floor. Take your right knee down. Slide the left leg away, slide the right hand away. This will give you a break in that right wrist right away. Inhale to rise, right hand, left leg. Exhale to lower. Inhale to rise. The nose is pointing down towards the mat, so your back is nice and long. Lower. Inhale. Exhale, that was 3. And then on this next one, we're going to hold. Let's lift up and hold, stay here. Thumb points up towards the sky, palm is inward, right arm is alongside your ear. Press your left fingertips into the floor like crazy. The nose is pointing down to the ground, so the back neck is nice and long, and the sole of the left foot is pointing up towards the sky. So you keep that hip joint in nice alignment and you don't come into an open hip here. If you'd like a little more, contract your core, hug your lumbar spine, and lift your right foot off the floor as you challenge yourself with balance. And you're very close to the floor, so if you fall, it's not far. If you'd like to take the right hand out to the right, palm down. If you'd like to take the left leg out to the left, really contract that core to protect your body here. And then bringing yourself back to center, bring yourself forward, and then come all the way up. Challenges for yourself. Those are some of my favorites. It's called spinal balance or balancing cat. Strengthens many aspects, the hip joint, the shoulder, upper body, the back of the body, which is the postural and support aspects of the body, which is so important if you have bone density issues. Because bones don't just break because they're fragile, they break because we fall. So fall prevention is a humongous component to, well, all aspects of aging, but especially if you have bone density issues. All right, so now we are going to use the block So go ahead and grab a block if you have one. And if you don't, it's okay. It's just a nice way to kind of get this distance in your elbows. So what you want to make sure is this doesn't happen. You come down on the ground into, we're going to do dolphin plank. So here is where we'd like the alignment. You don't want to be here. It's not as solid of a base. So take your blanket. One day I'm going to learn how to talk. So I'd also like to notice here about my spine. My spine is in its neutral curves, making sure that this doesn't happen in the body. So I know a lot of you aren't able to come up on your feet like this. So just try to notice the way you're moving all the time. So my knees are on the back edge of my blanket. You're going to take your block and you're going to bring yourself forward. So your thumb and your pointer finger are on your block and your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Knees are on the floor. You could flatten your feet here. And this is called dolphin plank, and it's a modification when the knees are on the floor. So you could stay here, press your fingers into your floor, fingers into the block, hands into the floor, elbows into the floor, or you could flip the toes under and lift yourself off. And remember, we're looking for Goldilocks. What is the appropriate pressure for you to be in? What is the appropriate pose, the appropriate pressure, the stimulation that your body, your muscles, your bones, what's appropriate for you today? Reach out the heels if you're all the way up. Reach out the crown of the head in whatever position you've chosen. Press the knees and the lower shins into the floor if you're in the modification. And if you have the feet on the floor, press the feet into the floor. Take one more breath. And then you're going to slowly lower down. This is a Sphinx pose. Come here with the elbows underneath the shoulders. Palms are on the floor, forearms on the floor. So we were rolling around like we were babies, repatterning proper functionality in our joints, especially in the hip joint. And here we're actually strengthening postural muscles of the upper back. And this is another thing babies do. They're on their tummies, and if we put them on their tummies, they lift their head up. And that actually starts to strengthen the upper back muscles to hold us upright. There's also a stretch that's happening here in our belly, so I'd like you to experience that. Can you soften your belly here? Can you let your belly go soft? Maybe even, I was going to say to visualize Jell-O, but that might make us think of our stored energy and make it so good for our emotional health. So let's think of something soft and squishy. How about like pudding? Pudding just sounds so yummy. Healthy pudding, of course, dairy and gluten-free with a low sugar content. All right, and then a little wiggle back and forth. So let your pelvis settle. Let your spine settle here. Then press your hands down on the floor and push away from the floor. Lift your ribs away from the floor and then push your heart forward. Open your throat. So hopefully you feel a nice deep stretch here where the lower ribs are and the top of the pubic bone as you stretch. And then press your heart forward. You could lift your throat open a little more if you'd like. And you're strengthening your upper back, you're strengthening the front of your body. This is a nice position to put yourself in where there's a lot of great stuff happening that's beneficial for posture, for balance, for alignment, and for many other factors that we want to focus on to keep ourselves healthy. So with this now, you're going to draw this length into your body as you bring yourself all the way down onto the floor. Let's take our hands down alongside our body. Let your legs, lift up the legs one at a time and roll the legs so that the inner thighs roll up towards the sky and the sole of the foot points up towards the sky. Lift the other leg, roll the leg so the inner thigh is up towards the sky. Let the toenails touch the floor. Let your forehead touch the floor and your palms are down on the floor.
Your hands are alongside your body. The thumbs are on the mat and the hands are off. So don't have your hands too close to you. For some of you, you may need to take your hands a little higher so the fingertips and the top of your head are in alignment. Then you're going to inhale, lift your upper body off the floor, and then exhale to lower. So come with length. The elbows are on the floor, the forearms are on the floor, the palms are on the floor. You're inhaling. I want you to be aware and be observant. Be in your back here. Can you feel your back contract as it lifts you up? Feel the back contract to lift you up. One more. And then go ahead and let your head rest. Now take your hands down alongside your body. Your palms are on the floor. Palms are on the floor. Fingertips are pointing towards your toes. Toes are in the floor. So press your toes into the floor. Maybe even some of you, your knees come off the floor when you do this, if you do it pretty strongly. All right. Now slide your hands a little bit towards your head so your elbows bend a little bit. The palms are still on the floor and the fingers are pointing back towards the feet. And now slide the shoulder blades towards each other so the shoulder blades are on the back near the spine. And then you're going to inhale to lift yourself up. You may not come up as high and you're probably going to feel a lot more muscular action in the back. Exhale to lower. Inhale to lift. Exhale to lower. Press your hands into the floor. Elbows are slightly bent. You inhale to rise. Feel that strength in your back as the muscles of your back are turning on to lift you up. And then one more. And then go ahead and lower all the way down. Keep your hands here. Flip your hands up so the palms are up towards the sky. And on your next inhalation, you're going to lift your legs off the floor, your arms off the floor, your chest off the floor, your head off the floor. Come into a locust pose. Reach your toes away, reach your hands away, reach the crown of your head away. If you'd like to take your arms out to the side, you could bring your arms out to the side in a scarecrow. Remember to find the Goldilocks position that works for you so that you create the appropriate bone stimulation and muscular strength stimulation. And you don't go too far. You go right to where you need to go to create the maximum stress in your bones and muscles that's appropriate for you. Take one more breath. And then let's take our hands, fold the hands one on top of the other, rest the forehead on the back of the hands. Take your feet as wide as the mat. If you would like to flip your feet so that the inner edge, the big toe edge is on the floor, you take your feet wide and you try to flip your toes so that the big toes and the inner edge of the heel and the foot goes onto the floor or kind of onto the floor. You could even add a little more flexion in your ankles to kind of just stretch the feet, the lower extremities, let the back of the head rest on the hands, or the forehead rest on the back of the hands. And then wiggle your pelvis back and forth. And now I want you to think of a Jell-O mold with pieces of fruit in it. And when you stop shaking, the fruit still jiggles. I want the fruit in your bones. Let your bones still jiggle and settle in the tissues. And then stop moving and take 3 deep breaths down to your belly, all the way down below the belly button, and you'll feel a nice release and relief in the low back. Let the breath help to deeply stretch some of the lower torso muscles, and especially the joints of the lower spine. When you finish that last breath, let's go ahead and take the legs back closer together. Take the right hand away from you and roll all the way onto your right side. So that's a Cobra Locust series. That could be done when you're on your bed. That could be done on the floor. That's those are lovely positions, those back bends that are so helpful for developing postural alignment and then the muscles that help to support that proper alignment in the body. Very important for us for so many reasons, bone health and just to have really good health as we are aging. Let's keep the knees bent here. Take the palm, open up the palm on the floor. You could use this upper leg to assist to bring you, if you'd like, bringing yourself up to seated.
And then we also began that whole sequence with a plank pose. So I'm going to ask you to come into a squat for those of you that can, and I know some of you can't. So for those that can't, don't think that this means this isn't something, well, either you shouldn't try it if your knees don't like to bend. And if you're close and you could get there, great. But don't think that this means you can't do this practice. Because whenever I introduce something that somebody can't do, it can be defeated. It can be defeating to them. And I don't want this to be defeating to those of you that cannot do this. Don't worry. You could stay on your shins and just take your wrists or stretch your wrists. For those of you that could come into a squat, bring your elbows to the inner knees. Press your knees open. Feel those inner thighs stretch. And then bring your hands together. And just be here for a second. And then I'd like you to bring your feet a little bit closer. So your feet closer, your knees are closer. And lift your heels up and balance on your toes. Woo-hoo. Balance on your toes. The good news is close to the floor. So it is a little bit of a wobbly. And then let's go ahead and come down. Take your blanket. We're going to come into a twist. So take your blanket and fold your blanket. So one of the things that happens is that our joints start to lose their range of motion. And I have my theory how and why that happens. So the joints start to lose their range of motion, which is why for some people it's hard to bend the joints. So whatever your range of motion is, try to stay there and maybe get a little bit more back. Is kind of what I'm saying here. And then for those that haven't lost it yet, we don't want to lose it. So you got to keep using it so you don't lose it. All right, take your blanket and fold your blanket in two, or you could sit elevated on a block. We're going to do a seated twist here. So you're sitting on the blanket and then reach underneath and grab the flesh. Grab a hunk of flesh and pull it back so you expose your sits bones. I always love that because so often we usually don't do something like that. So it's kind of an interesting thing to do. All right, we're going to take one knee. Let's do left knee actually, because I'm doing left. It'll be easier for me to guide if it's the same knee that I'm doing. So you're going to bend your left knee and allow that upper thigh to be close to the belly. And if you do have some extra stored energy that you haven't utilized yet, you will one day, you could take your extra stored energy and move it off to the left, because we're going to do a rotation to the left and we want to have that here. Now, you're going to take your hand on the floor behind you. So your left hand will go on the floor behind you and your right arm holds onto that left leg. Press your hand into the floor, get nice and tall. It's important to have a lengthened spine, and you want to minimize the rounding in the upper spine here. That is very important because when we add rotation, we want to add that safe rotational force to the spine, which is so important for stimulating the spine to get stronger. It's one of the best ways to strengthen the spine. There was a study that was done on this in Italy. And so it is the best way to strengthen the spine. Let's take the hand on the floor or blanket, wherever it is, right behind your body. And whatever feels good. So if you can get nice and tall, take an inhale. Right foot is active, foot is flexed. Press that right foot into the floor. Get nice tension to begin. Inhale. And then as you exhale, the lower ribs, the upper ribs, and the middle ribs, and all your whole rib cage moves to the left. Stay here. Press your foot into the floor. Press your leg into the floor. Nice and long and tall as you rotate.
If you'd like to go a little deeper, take that left hand, move the left hand to the right, so you can get even more rotational force. And remember, Goldilocks. You're looking for Goldilocks in your spine. What is the appropriate tension to create in your body to safely build your bones, strengthen your muscles, and stretch tissue for fluid movement? Take one more breath. And then slowly, slowly, let's unwind. Let's go to the other side. You're going to take the right leg, bend the right leg, hold on to the right leg. Right hand is on the floor behind you. So the left hand goes onto the right leg. Nice and tall here, so create that height first. Inhale. As you exhale, it's lower ribs, middle, and then upper ribs coming into that position. Left leg is nice and active, right leg is nice and active. Make sure you're tall and you're rotating right at that lower belly area, right where the lower ribs are, right by the belly button. That's where the rotation begins and it moves up. Press the heart forward, slide the shoulder blades towards the spine, lower the shoulders. If you'd like to go deeper, you take that right hand and move that right hand more to the left to get a little bit more force. Finding Goldilocks in your spine. Finding Goldilocks in the rotational muscles of the torso. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bring yourself out. Take your legs straight. Shake, 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 shake your legs. Let's take your hands up and down your legs. Come to your knees, circles around your knees. We began the practice today with a circular pattern around the shoulders. When we come to the joints, we want to do circles. And then I'd like you to come to a wide leg position while you're in this position here. This is a fantastic way. Maybe you will not agree with me on that. Some of you have a very strong sensation when you do this. Come into a very wide leg stance, and you're elevated with your back in its neutral position. So for those that are able to get a little bit of flexion with the heart and the throat open, coming forward without anything happening to your spine. Coming forward is only so that the lower belly comes closer to the top thighs. So if you had rods right here at the top of your thigh, you came forward, you would actually be putting pressure to break your spine in this neutral curve. When you have osteoporosis, bending forward is something you have to be extremely careful with. So this is a forward flexion movement in the hip joint. And if you are going to do it, it's not with your spine, it's actually occurring in the hip. And for many people, we're so preoccupied with getting closer to the floor that usually people put their head forward to try to get closer to the floor, and that is rounding the spine. When in actuality, it is a hip joint movement. So you're probably experiencing, or some of you are experiencing something here. And then let's go ahead and bring yourself out of that. All right. So I am going to come through a down dog plank flow to come to standing, which is a little bit more of a stronger way to rise. So if that's not for you and you know that's not for you, you're going to come to this position here. And from here, come up to a standing position. And then for those of you that would like to do that down dog plank flow, you could have a blanket here to begin with your knees. The hands are wide. The goal is always to keep the spine from rounding. Flip your toes under. Have your feet pretty wide here. Inhale. As you exhale, push your tushy up. Bring your tushy up. Keep your knees bent. And then you could press the heel towards the floor, and especially the outside edge of the heel, the back corner. And spread the hands, press the fingertips into the floor. Keep your head looking forward near the level of the lower arms so that you're not rounding the head looking down towards your feet. which will cause that rounding in the upper spine. And then press both feet into the floor. Feel that pretty strong sensation in the calves. Got to keep that tissue nice and limber. And then inhale forward into a plank. Notice how my shoulders are over my wrists. You don't want to be forward like this. So if you are, you need to walk your feet back. Exhale to rise. Inhale forward. Exhale. Slow. We're stretching tissue here. The goal is not to get to one position and get to the other. The goal is the journey of the lengthening and stretch along the way. Stay here, head is forward, bend the knees, walk your hands back, head is forward. Bend your knees really deep here, and then take one hand at a time. Now imagine you had a chair on top of your back here holding champagne flutes with fizzy water, raspberries muddled with mint sprigs. So your back's in flat. And then you're going to press your feet into the floor as you bring yourself up. All right. I feel great. Do you feel great? Okay, so for the standing practice, here's a couple of things I'd like to say. For the standing practice, depending on what your ability is in terms of balance, it's better to have safety. Always, 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 number one priority. So if you have a chair because of some issues with balance, have a chair handy, or have a wall behind you, or a piece of furniture. Sometimes practicing up against the back of a sofa is nice, because as long as the sofa is at this part of your body, it's near you, so you can lean on it or even put your legs or your hips up against it. And then I'd like you to have a block. We're going to do a triangle pose today, so I'd like you to have a block. And if you don't have a block, and if you don't have a lot of flexibility in your legs, and you know you don't, you may want to have a chair here. So when we come down into our triangle, you come down and have the chair there to help you. So I also would like a really wide stance here to put in a lot of force into the hip joint, still staying in the Goldilocks force, but finding the proper force in your hip joint here. Very important place in our body to keep strong in our body for sure, to keep this whole hip area strong. We need our hips. Okay, so come into the wide stance, and can you go back and forth here in this wide stance, just feeling what stretches along the way there. We've actually done a lot of hip warming up so far with our crawling. So we were able to get a nice little movement there. And run in a circular pattern. Now, if you had a Sharpie marker pulling off your tailbone, can you draw like an oval shape on the floor, keeping everything else straight? And then can you go in the other direction? So my knees are straight. I'm moving my hips around. And then you're going to stay in this wide stance. Let's pick up your toe, keep your legs straight, turn your toes in this direction, place the toes down on the floor, pick up the back heel, lift the back heel up, move the back heel away. One foot is angled in, one foot is angled away. And then a block for those of you that are able to get down, that have some pretty good range of motion in the muscles of the leg, especially the back thigh, this front leg, and then a chair for those of you that need that. So we're going to keep the legs straight here in this triangle pose, pulling on our pelvis to create stress so our pelvis gets stronger for us. Okay, take your shoulders forward, take them up and back and down. Let's do that again. Forward, up, back and down. See if you could feel anything in your back from all the work we did on the floor for the back. Up, back and down. Keep your shoulders back and down. Take your arms down along the floor. All right. Take your arms down along the side of your body. And then you're going to inhale to lift your arms up with strength. So strengthening the shoulder joint here, strengthening the arm bones and the arm muscles. And then reach your arm away so your hips go the opposite direction of the hand. When you can't go any farther, you bring the block on the floor behind your leg. Bring the block on the floor behind your leg. and bring the arm up. Press your feet into the floor, draw that energy up into your pelvis. And then your heart light is facing forward. And your hip light is facing where it is. You're trying to get everything to face forward. If you'd like, you could take this arm, reach the arm up and over, lengthen out that entire side of your body. So reach your fingertips long, reach, press your feet into the floor, draw that energy up into your pelvis, and then lengthen your spine out of your pelvis. Keep yourself open. Make sure your arm doesn't come forward. You're not closing off your body. So if going over to the side makes you close off your body, put your arm back up. And if you're near a wall, actually, it's a nice thing as well to touch the back wall. Take one more breath. Push your feet into the floor. Try to keep your legs straight here if you can. And then allow your muscles to bring you back up. Let's take the legs forward. Go nice and slow. The slower you go, the more work you're doing. The more opportunity you have to strengthen and to keep strong different aspects of the body. All right, let's take the front foot up, point the toes away from you, and then the back heel up. Shoulders go forward, they go up, they go back, they go down. Go nice and slow because you're using muscles to make this happen. Muscles that are important to release tension and pressure from your day and from stress. Inhale up, back and down. So you see, stress can be our friend or our foe. And we're going to manage our stress to use it appropriately as a friend to create the right amount of stress to stimulate growth. And we're going to release the stress that's stored and pent up from places. And that usually happens when we're not fully aware, when we are not in a place of awareness. Let's bring the arms out to the side with strength, as if you're moving through a swimming pool full of chocolate pudding, gluten-free and dairy-free and low sugar, of course. Reach your hand away, keep your armpit open, hips go in the opposite direction. When you can't go any farther, you take your block on the floor behind you. Bring your hand on top of that block. Bring your arm up and arrange yourself in this triangular shape, triangle pose, Trikonasana. Press your feet into the floor, draw that energy to the pelvis, and then lengthen your spine. Keep your head as an extension of your spine. If you're near a wall, you may want to put your arm back to get that nice rotational force in the upper body, or you could reach up and over, lengthening out that entire side. Whatever is appropriate for you, and noticing if both sides are the same. Deep breathing. Feel what you feel. Notice what you notice. Make sure you're using lots of strength to hold you up in this position. Push your feet into the floor, draw that energy up into the pelvic area, lengthen out, rotate the spine, take one more breath. And then press your feet into the floor. Keep your legs nice and straight as you slowly, slowly bring yourself back up to center. Okay. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Let's let your body move like you're in water. Let's do a backstroke. Let the elbows lead the way. Unwind the spine. Let the hands really just go with the flow as if you are in water. Let your body weight goes where it goes, and just imagine there's a weightlessness to this. And then bring yourself back to center. Let's do a balance pose, the tree pose. So if you have a chair, you could use a chair. If you have a wall, it's actually nice to do this against a wall where you use the wall as part of the balance for yourself. Or you can come to the center of the room without any balance. So do what's appropriate for you. Align yourself here so your feet are hip distance, so they're not as wide as your body. Your hips are here
the inner part of your legs. It's not here. The femur bone comes up and angles inward, and the weight-bearing aspect is right here. Let's push your body weight over to a side. You decide. Push your body weight over to a side. Come on to the opposite tippy toes. Knee goes out to the side. Bring the foot up in between the ankle and the knee. So not on the inner knee joint. And then the hands can stay on the waist. They can go out to the side. They can come up towards the sky. They can come up overhead. They could stay out at the side. Wherever it is appropriate for you, grab the floor with your feet. Feel all 5 toes touching the floor. Feel the entire heel touching the floor. Very active feet. Lengthen up out of that. And imagine your torso is like a tube of toothpaste. Squeeze the toothpaste up underneath your ribs. So if there was toothpaste in your lower abdominal area, squeeze that toothpaste up under your ribs. Get nice and tall. Take one more breath. Bring your hands together in front of you. Bring your knee forward. Bring yourself out. Let's go to the other side. Hopefully you felt some tension in your foot, which is a really great part of the single leg balance, strengthening the foot, which is another great, there's many great things about single leg balance. Push your body weight over to the other foot. Come on to the tippy toes, knee out to the side. Real firm action with your foot on the floor. Lift your foot up in between your ankle and your knee, and then bring your arms into whatever position is appropriate for you in your tree. This hands position in front of the chest can be very stabilizing if you're feeling really insecure about your balance. Also hands on the hips or hands alongside the body. Maybe I think this is one of the pretty strong ones too, because the shoulder blades are on the back. I refer to this pose as vitamin T, as in vitamin tree, and I think you should take it every day, 3 times a day. Whenever you can, whether it's for 1 breath, 3 breaths, 5 breaths, you could time yourself for 30 seconds and then find vitamin T in your life throughout your day a few times. Very powerful. Single leg standing balance poses strengthens so many aspects of our body, muscles, bones, communication of the nervous system, management of stress. Take 1 more breath. Bring your hands together, press your hands together, knees forward, and then go ahead and come out. So we're gonna come down onto the floor, bend your knees. You could bring your strap along for this as well. Coming down onto the floor, remember with total awareness to not flex your spine. Bringing yourself to the side and reaching your hand away. Let's come down onto our back and take your strap. Let's take the strap, bringing the right knee in, put the strap on the center at first. So first find the arch and then closer to the toes. Slide your hands down, wrap your hands around the strap so you have a nice firm hold on the strap. And then slide the elbows closer to the body, slide the shoulder blades closer to the spine. And we're going to do a 30-second hold here. If you could straighten the opposite leg, go ahead. And if you need to keep it bent, that's fine as well. And then firm up the muscles of this leg, no bend in the knee. For osteoporosis, we want to make sure there's no bend in the knee, and then draw that leg towards the wall behind you. So no bend in the knee, the leg is drawing towards the wall behind you. Feel a very strong sensation behind the back of the thigh and where the leg attaches to the body. Deep breathing here. Firm up the muscles. Pushing the leg away with the muscles of the leg. The knee is straight. You're pulling the strap down, pulling the leg towards the wall behind you, creating as much appropriate Goldilocks stress in your hamstring muscles, which are pulling on your pelvis. Take 1 more breath. And then go ahead and release the tension in that. You could bring the opposite foot up towards the sky.
The strap goes on the arch, putting it a little bit closer to the foot part, the toe part of the foot, straightening this leg if that's appropriate. And if you go to a straight leg and there's too much pull on the upper thigh, you can come back into a bent leg. So you do you, everyone else is taken. Elbows closer to the floor, shoulder blades closer to the spine, firming up the muscles of the leg, drawing the leg back towards the wall behind you. Deep breaths here. Try to keep that tension behind that upper leg. Drawing the leg towards the wall behind you, firming up the muscles of the leg, isolating the pressure and tension that you feel in the back of the upper thigh. Take one more breath. And then go ahead and bend the knee. Take the strap away. So we'll end today's practice with a twist, make it nice and yummy for all the hard work that you've put into the body today. So let's take your block if you have one, push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis up and take your hips off to the left. Place your pelvis back down on the floor. Draw the knees in, put a block between your knees, arms go to the side, and then you're going to slowly let your legs move over to the right. Now, you want to try to keep the upper shoulder blade on the floor. If the shoulder blade wants to come away and the legs have a hard time getting to the floor, you could put the block underneath your knees or use a blanket for this or a bolster in between the knees or underneath the legs. Coming into an appropriate stretch for yourself, you could reach the left arm up and away to get more stretch into the upper chest, shoulder pit area of your left side, whatever feels appropriate. You could bring your hand on top of your knee to get a little deeper stretch here. Close your eyes, focus on your exhalations, and release any tension that exists in your body that you can discover and then release. Take one more breath. Now, before you come back to the center, I'd like you to go one leg at a time. So you actually separate your legs. You bring one leg up at a time, coming back to center. Push your feet into the floor, lift your pelvis, move your hips off to the right. Place your pelvis back down on the ground. Bring your knees into your chest, place the block under your knees, and slowly allow the knees to move over to the left. Maybe you need to have a block under your knees or in between your knees or lower down, closer to the ankle joints is pretty therapeutic for many. Take your left hand on top of your right knee if you'd like. All of these are suggestions, and it's a very individual feeling to come into twisting. So you have to feel what's the appropriate twist in your body. If you'd like to reach the right arm up to get a little deeper stretch in that under armpit area, close your eyes, release, let go, and relax. 2 more breaths. At the end of that second breath, you're going to bring one leg up at a time, taking your feet into the floor. Lift your pelvis up and then bring your knees into your chest, rocking side to side. Feel that massage on the lower back. And you're going to bring yourself into the final rest, the Shavasana pose. So find final rest whatever way you'd like. Maybe with a bolster, a chair, legs up the wall. Come to that final rest position. And let go, let go, let go. Gently begin to deepen your breath. Begin to deepen the breath, bring your awareness to it, and then start to bring some movement into your fingers and your toes, into the ankles, into the wrist, into your elbows, bending your knees. Draw one knee at a time into the belly. Draw the knees in deeply and rock side to side. Feel that low back pressing into the floor. Go pretty far side to side so you feel a massage along that top ridge of your pelvis. Then roll all the way onto your right side. Open up that left hand in front of you on the floor as you push yourself up to a seated position. Keep your eyes closed, bring your hands together, rub them together, and allow the thumbs to touch the sternum bone. We're going to signify the end of the practice of us showing up for ourselves to nurture, care for, and appropriately stress our bones and our muscles and our joints so they will remain strong or become stronger for us, to carry us throughout our lives so we can live a full life with minimized pain, with full range of motion in our joints, so we could be happy in body, which will then help us be happy in our minds. We're going to close the practice today with the sound of the blending of the ah, the o, and the aum, taking our mouth from an open position to a closed position, making this full sound on our entire exhalation. Take a deep breath all the way down to your belly. We bow to each other in namaste. Namaste. Thank you. So I have some housekeeping things to tell you about. Lots of things. I was thinking, oh no, I need to say this, I need to say that. Where are my glasses? I need my glasses. Oh, so I can see. Okay, so first of all, My Octopus Teacher on Netflix is a beautiful, beautiful documentary. So if you're looking for a break from the onslaught of stress-producing news that comes at us on a constant state, My Octopus Teacher is really, really lovely. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story, and it's actually really pretty. There's a lot of pretty things. I am creating bone health lifestyle courses. They are 4 weeks long, and my focus is for you to develop a home practice. So there's a lot of handout materials. There's home practices, guided classes that you could do, whether it's a 10-minute practice, a 20-minute practice, or an hour-long practice. Another component is that stress management piece, because you need to be in a place where your bones will actually respond to the stress you're supplying. And the last component is the nutrients that are important for bones to build. So learning what to bring into your body for bone building nutrients and what not to do that actually takes away from the bone building nutrients in our body. So this begins on January 19th. It's a 4-week course.
and you get a lot of material to take home. It's 8 hours of live Zoom interactive. So you get to ask me a lot of questions, and I go into much more than the physical practice, which I know I sprinkle into here too. But anyway, that's also another thing. So I think that those are my housekeeping pieces. And then let me see. Donna, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome, Shannon, Frida, great. Kathy, oh, I love that you're here, Kathy. Wonderful, Kathy. Thank you for saying that. Sharon, you're welcome. You're welcome. And Lynn, great. Well, I'm so grateful to have you here with me because that's why I'm here. And I'm keeping my bones and my joints and my muscles strong as well because you're here. So thank you so much. Share with a friend that you think may be interested. Carol, yes, it's so good to be back, isn't it? The class, that 4-week class that I do is on Tuesdays from 2 to 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm doing a workshop today with Dr. Fishman, and you know what it's on? It's on weight loss, yoga and weight loss, but in a way that you really wouldn't think. It's not about like running, and it's interesting. It's more of a metabolic, biochemical kind of weight loss and yoga and the stress response. And anyway, you know, I love studying with him, and he has been so amazing at answering all my questions. So my bone health course also, I asked Dr. Fishman a lot of questions. And so it's such a great current information space of what's the latest and greatest when it comes to bones. All right. You're welcome, Joyce. So thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you when I see you in our next time together. Until then, stress yourself out every day in Goldilocks style so that you get stronger appropriately. All right. Thank you. Have a great day.